excitement for which we have come together today. It is the movement that is taking place within each of us individually and all of us together to make a difference, to really and truly make a difference in letting our light shine and allowing the influence of the good that we experience to be touched by those who have never known it before. And you know who those people are, that we were there once, weren't we? And we're here now, and we're here to celebrate that joy. So in order for that to take place, the only thing I can say is you got to stand. If we're going to make a commitment, we got to make it together, right? So we will pray our statement of being together. God is love, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect light, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God. I am number one with this perfect light, perfect love, and perfect substance. Can't hear you. Thank you. You may be seated. You probably have one of these offering envelopes in your bulletin when you came in for obvious reasons, but this one's a special one because we have, if you didn't look at it, you can look at it now. There's a red line on there which says general fund, and then it says air conditioning fund. And I talked to God Friday, and he said, I'm going to give you one more cool Sunday. We did this for a very specific reason. We, at a board meeting on Thursday morning, decided that we would proceed with air conditioning in the sanctuary because, number one, we have the ability, practical ability to do that. We have the ability to do that now. Good management of our money. What we are saying for all of us is we want to do the rest of the building, and we're asking for your help. We're asking for your support in that. We don't know exact costs, but approximately $8,000 is something that we need in order to complete the whole building. So here we are, and this is for all of us, and we want you to know that we Sunday, I mentioned, who I have here, a New York City tour, a weekend tour, under the direction of Karen Ebler, who is a community minister in Ohio, I believe. Anyway, it originates, for our part, from Frankenmuth, Michigan. It's a 3-day tour, September 14th, 15th, 16th. It will tour the whole entire city of New York, and then on Sunday we'll climax with a wonderful service at Rockefeller Center with very clever service. So if that's something that interests you, the flyers are at the book counter, Anne Moran will be happy to help you make sure that you get the information that you need to be able to go on that, or at least look at it. 2 weeks from today, we're having membership Sunday, and we're excited about that because it always represents something to us which is somewhat different than membership perhaps in the traditional church. Really, it's your need to come forward and say that you want to rise to a new dimension and commit yourself to the work to become a part of our own part of that universal work in demonstrating the light in your life and the gift that you have to give. So if you would like to become a member on the 20th, can't hear me? Really? Why didn't you say something? Not going to go all the way back to the start. Yo, really? Is that better? Is that better? Oh, good morning. We're good. So, membership application cards are at the book corner, and we're happy to receive your commitment in that way. That'll be 2 weeks from today. I want to ask 2 wonderful people, Michael Capado and Sandy Hammer. You don't have to come forward, but I just want you to stand for a moment, and you just go ahead and applaud them, and I'll tell you why. Sandy Hammer, you probably know quite well. She's spoken here twice since we commenced as unity ministry. She taught some classes. She was on the platform with me. She recently served for a brief term in Port Huron, taught them some lessons, and now she's moving on to a new dimension of, I think, sport good and wonderful things are taking place. We just want to honor her because we do love and support her. And that other tall strapping dude over there, that's Michael Capata. He just completed his first year in the urban administrative school. He wants to come and be a part of our work. So on the 27th of May, I want you all to be here because Michael's going to give the best talk he's ever given in his whole life. And then he also plans to teach a class this summer, and we'll let you know of that. But we're excited about Mike, and he's a great guy, and he's got a lot to give, and we're excited about his being here. So, this last Christmas season, on Christmas Eve morning, which was a Sunday, which was a very special day for us, I didn't have an accompanist. And I knew it a couple weeks before because Eric was called out of town for a family experience. And on the 11th hour, on the 23rd, I still didn't have anyone. And I had run dry in terms of all of my resources. And then I thought of the one that I should have called to begin with, and that was a gentleman that I grew up with, Tom Saunders, who was a noted national, international, really, cornet player and musician and band leader. And I asked Tom if he could help me, and he said, I'll give you 2 names. And he said, you need any of them, call me back when you find out. And so I called the first one, he wasn't home. I called the second one, and his name was Matt Michaels. And so Matt said, where do you meet? And I said, Fraser High School. And he said, what time? And I said, 10 o'clock. He said, what time do you want me there? And I said, 9 o'clock. And he said, I'll see you. So I called Tommy back, and I said, he said, how did you make out? And I said, I got this guy named Matt Michaels. And he said, oh, really? I said, yes. He said, you know who he is, don't you? And I said, no. He's Matt Michaels. He said, well, he is a noted jazz pianist in this area, and he is professor, doctor, she comes to sing, brother, she comes to sing. She does such a wonderful job. She's got a great heart, great spirit, and we're just happy to see her as a favorite. Well, it is true. Where we are right now, where you are right now, there may be a part of your life that is incomplete, something you need to do before you approach the exit door. Probably many things, and sometimes we don't feel so necessarily complete, and we feel that where we are right now is more important than where we're going. But really, where we're going is really the vital thing. And it's representative of this day. It's characteristic of what you have done, along with the rest of us, to make this real and to do the work that we need to do, to let our light shine, to touch people's lives as we have never done before. That is the meaning of our presence. That's the meaning of dedication. It's the meaning of celebration. It's the meaning that we spend so much money to get this great guy to come up for all I heard to be with us to celebrate this day. So let's take this moment to begin our service and establish our spirit in this light of unity purpose by singing and by praying our Lord's Prayer. And yet when we come to experience abundance as being the very nature in that quiet place within us, of all that we require to be complete, to be at peace, to experience peace, prosperity, health, well-being, right relationships. The abundance of the wisdom and the love and the intelligence to begin to open the door on the things that we have never been able to conquer. The abundance of a love that will always go before us and give us everything and more that we require to see ourselves through to the light of day. For this reason, we commonly dedicate our spirit to the Spirit of the Christ, which is everywhere equally present, ready to meet our need, abundantly, lavishly supplying every thought, every word, every idea, every new avenue, every pathway that we need to follow, we need to experience to know our true self. And for the very sake of this abundance, the rich treasure of mind and heart, for this we come and we say, we dedicate our gratitude and our purpose to the endlessness of life, to the spirit of greatness which is in everything we see, everywhere we go, especially where we have never seen it before. For this, we say thank you. We say thank you. We say thank you. According to the magnificent teachings of our elder brother Jesus, who demonstrated the anointing of God in all mankind, the Christ, the Spirit of God's individual loving presence. And for this we say, it is done. And for this we say, Amen. question, it was Jack, because he came out, he was 50 feet from me, he had his arms up, he was talking, and he was saying, how much? He said, you won't believe how happy I am to be here. He said, this is the greatest thing in the world. He said, I'm so glad that you asked me. And I started talking, and we walked away, and the first thing you know, we're looking at, where's the luggage claim? And I said, right there. So we walked. Well, we went to 3 different luggage claims. We were in the wrong one every time. He finally turned to me and he said, how long have you lived in Detroit? I said, 6, of course. And he said, I got a special appointment tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So I said, let's go to the Lost and Found. Well, the reason I mention that is because it's so characteristic of Jack Graff. He's a lot of things. He's a veteran, seasoned minister who has been the creator of many, many wonderful things in several different churches. You obviously know him in the church today. He's a household word here in Detroit. When we speak of wonderful individuals who have served the church, Jack Graff's name always comes into play. The thing is, that really impressed me about Jack, and again did, was Jack is always looking beyond himself to reach out and support and bless and be something for somebody that somebody needs. And he knows what you need is usually. And it's just a great thing. Jack Graff is, he's authentic, he's original. We are deeply, deeply grateful for us to have him here, and we say, Master Jack, come forward. Feels good, doesn't it? It does. And I'm so glad to be back in Detroit where we have access to all this marvelous talent, this musical talent. Thank you, Marie. Boy, that's stimulating. I feel good. Matt Michaels. But it does feel good. I feel fantastically honored to be the one to come up here and be a part of the celebration. Dedicate this church. It's 19 years ago in July when I came to Detroit to be at the Church of the Day. Seems like about 4 or 5 years ago. 19 years ago. And I remember Marcia, my wife, was working with the church as a hospital visitor. Went to all of the hospitals to visit people from the Church of the Day that were in. So one day she went up to visit a lady who was really about ready to make a transition. Marcia said she walked in, and there the lady was, very fragile, very frail. And she had on her gown, and she had a little button on that says, I feel so good I can hardly stand it. That was what Jack Bowman used to say all the time. I feel so good I can hardly stand it. So they made a little button, passed those around. Well, let me tell you this. I'm not going to borrow from him. He said, I feel so good that if I felt any better, you'd have to peel me off the ceiling. And it feels good just to be in this room. And it feels good to be with you. And there are many, many of you I know. And we just pick up from where we left off. And it's fun to see each other from year to year. Some of you have been to Raleigh and visited us there. And so we've kept up, and it's just delightful to do that. Well, when Elmer called me, several weeks ago, and said that we were going to dedicate this church and told me how this church came into being, let me tell you, I told him on the phone, man, this feels good. Especially when he told me that you raised that $94,000 in 3 weeks. That's unheard of in unity. You set a record. It's amazing. And you can't, I just couldn't help but feel good. So we're here today to celebrate this wonderful occasion and to dedicate this church. But as a minister, a unity minister, I would feel remiss if I didn't just share a little bit of principle with you before we do that. Because when we come together in a spiritual community, it's important that we listen to the principles again, to remind ourselves. See, I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know. You know these things. It's just to remind not only you, but to remind myself of the principles that were taught by the master teacher, and to put
start practicing the principles that we know. That's what is important. Practicing and living these principles. Well, there was a young man that wanted to know what life was all about. And he searched and he searched and he searched, and finally one day somebody told him, said, well, if you really want to know what life is all about, you're going to go have to ask a guru that's up on top of one of those Himalayan mountains. So he went to Nepal and he got some Sherpas together, and about 25 days later he made it to the top of the mountain. And he found this little hut, and there was a guru there, and he went up to the guru and he said, oh, saintly one, would you please tell me what life is all about? And the guru thought for just a moment, and then he whispered something into his ear. And the man stood back surprised. He says, you mean you do the hokey pokey and that's what it's all about? Well, I guess life is a little bit more than just doing the hokey pokey, but you know, we're here only for just a few decades. Just think about it. Joe Goldsmith says we're here as a parenthesis in eternity. Some of us have a long parenthesis, some of us don't. But what are we going to do while we're here? And we're not here just to read comic books and do the hokey pokey, are we? We are here because we all have an assignment. We have attracted one another to be with each other in this particular time in history because of this marvelous assignment we have. And this assignment, of course, is to make this planet better when we leave it than when we found it. It's very important that we make some sort of significant contribution. It makes the planet a better place when we leave it than when we found it. Now, there are certain life forms that have left the planet and they've left it just like it was. I mean, when the dinosaurs left, the planet was pretty much the same as it was when they were here. The little mammoths and so forth. But we as human beings have a real responsibility because through the centuries we put some soul scars on this earth plane. And if we're going to make it a better place when we leave it than when we found it, we need to be enlightened. We need to be enlightened through spiritual principles, to practice those spiritual principles. So let me just share with you some thoughts about that today. And I'm going to use a text. I'm going to take this text from the book of Ezekiel. Very few ministers in the unity movement ever use the text from the book of Ezekiel. Very few unity ministers even use a text. But I'm going to pull it from the book of Ezekiel, even though that's one of those apocalyptic books in this. The apocalyptic book of the Old Testament is to the Old Testament what the book of Revelation is to the New Testament, so most people don't understand it. And so I'm going to just take this out of context, so we don't have to worry about whether we understand it or not. So it's okay. But even so, it says, as the glory of the Lord entered the temple by the gate facing east. Listen to that. As the glory of the Lord entered the temple by the gate facing east, the Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. Okay, when we say the word Lord, and I think most of us all know this, when we see the word Lord in the Old Testament, it stands for law. In the New Testament, it stands for Jesus. But in the Old Testament, it stands for law, or we can say spiritual principle. And when we look at the word east metaphysically, by the way, metaphysics means that the way it's applying to the way we think and the way we feel right now in this particular moment, what's going on inside of us. The word east means within. It's like, there was a garden planted in Eden, in the east is what it says, which means this garden of Eden is within every one of us. It's an allegory that talks about what all the good is. Or when the wise men came from the east to visit the Christ child, it's the wisdom, metaphysically, the wisdom that is within us seeking a higher understanding, but it's within. So east means within, and the temple represents consciousness. So when we look at this again, as the glory of the Lord entered the temple by the gate facing east, we can say inner awareness then is expanded when we understand spiritual law. When we grow into the spiritual understanding and begin to apply these spiritual laws into our daily lives and activities, then our consciousness expands. And we become thrilled when our consciousness is filled with this understanding because it feels good. And there again, nothing beats feeling. Nothing beats feeling good. And it's through the feelings that we are able to acquire and we're able to accomplish all those things that we really desire in life. It's the way we feel about it. So we have to become enlightened. We have to become enlightened to spiritual law, for one thing, and to practice that law. And then we have to become enlightened to the fact that there really is only one mind common to all life forms. And it is so nostalgic Spirit of the truth. We have to know. We have to know what that feels like. There is only one mind. And until we understand that, until we understand that all life forms come from God, we'll probably continue polluting the planet because we'll disrespect certain life forms. We'll disrespect some of the flora and the fauna and the bees and the trees and the flowers and the butterflies and those things, you see. Because everything comes from God. And we, of course, are the individualized expressions of God. Now, you know that. But I'm not talking about a God that is a man in the sky sitting on the throne someplace. I'm talking about this creative energy that is always moving in the direction of absolute good. To be enlightened to that. One mind. And the mind that is in me is the mind that is in you. The Spirit of God in me is the Spirit of God in you. And the Spirit of God in everybody. We also have to become enlightened to the fact that what we do to others, we really do to ourselves. What we do to others, we do to ourselves. If we understand that and internalize that, and that becomes a part of our belief system, and we live from that understanding, let me tell you something, there'll be no more wars. We won't be in arguments with other people. This planet will be a much better place. We just understand that everything that I do to myself. Well, there wouldn't be any wars because we don't want to hurt ourselves. If we really understand this, it would be easy to forgive people because nobody would ever try to hurt us or harm us in any way if they knew that what they were doing to us, they were doing to themselves. So we would forgive them. They don't know. You know, we had, let's say, 3 or 4 6-year-old children. And we had a lady that needed brain surgery, and we said to the children, listen, can you perform brain surgery on this lady? And they said, oh, we don't know how to do that. Do you think we'd be upset? Would we be mad at those children because they didn't know how to perform brain surgery even though it was needed? No, of course not. Because they don't know. Well, there are a lot of people that do not know spiritual principles. They do not know that what they're doing to other people, they're doing to themselves. Since they don't know that, let's let them off the hook. Forgive them. If we can forgive like that, make this place a better place. You believe it when we found it. And the other thing is, well, first of all, we have to enlighten people to the fact there's only one mind, and the second thing is to know that the things that I do, I really do to myself. And the third thing is if we really want to demonstrate good in our lives, then we have to feel it into existence. Not just thinking. Now, we talk about thinking and feeling all the time. But we think 1,000 thoughts a day. Aren't you glad that not all of them happen? Yeah. So it's not what we think so much, friends. It's what we're feeling. Let's get into this a little bit. It's what we feel. Because the principle is this. This is the spiritual law. Whatever we project, you know, here's this mind. We just affirmed this mind is both visible and invisible. And we are thinking into this mind, and we are drawing information out of this mind. One mind. The whole universe is this mind expressing itself. We think into it, and we draw information out of it. Whatever we project into this mind with feeling, this is a creative mind. It loves to create. And when we project it with feeling, then this mind will move heaven and earth to make it happen. And it starts immediately. But it starts with our feelings. It starts with our feelings, not just our thoughts. We can think things. Nothing happens. But when we get our feelings into it, then things begin to happen. You see, whatever the feeling, whatever it is that we are feeling is the energy that we are giving off. And this is the energy that is vibrating from us. We send out vibrations. Everything has energy. This lectern has energy. This building has energy. You and I have energy. We're all giving off energy. But because we are magnetic fields, and it's been proven scientifically that we also attract, we are a magnetic field, then whatever it is that we are giving off, whatever that energy is, whatever that vibration is, then it is attracting whatever is on that same wavelength, whatever that same vibration is what we're feeling. We get a feel for this? Whatever we're sending out is attracting back into our lives whatever is on that frequency. And it has to do with our feelings. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say, anything under 5 would be negative, and anything over 5 would be, let's say, positive, and then 5 would be, you know, just neutral or flatline. Not really getting into our feelings. How about worry? Let's get caught up into worry and anxiety and fear and even mild concern. What are we projecting? We're projecting negative energy. There's no way in the world we'll ever be happy if we're projecting negative energy. I don't care what kind of negative energy it is. And even if it's mild concern, even if it's concern about how we're going to get to work, it's projecting negative energy. So what are we doing if we're projecting negative energy? Well, how do we feel when we're upset? How do we feel when we're angry? How do we feel when we're afraid? How do we feel when we're mad at something? Does that feel good? No, that doesn't feel good at all. So whatever we're sending out is searching for its match out here, and it brings it right back to us in a form that we could never possibly want. Because we say this often, whatever our mind is focused on begins to be a part of our experience. So here we are, all of a sudden a lot of things begin to come into our lives, and where did that come from? Huh? You see, if we understand this principle, we'll understand why bad things happen to good people. Here's this sweet person, and this sweet person doesn't have a bad bone in her body. And yet, let's say one day she's driving along, and she's rear-ended by a drunk driver, and then while that's going on, her house is being robbed, and when she gets home, she finds out that she just got laid off, and it seems like everything begins to pour in on her, and she's wondering, why in the world is this happening? And because she has some concern about that, she's still sending out more and more negative energy, and she didn't ask for this. She didn't think that she wanted to have an accident. She didn't think that she wanted to have her house robbed. She didn't think that she wanted to be laid off. Why did it happen? Well, for several weeks, she's been projecting anxious energy, let's say at a level 3, because she's been anxious about her job and the people that work there. She's been anxious about some of the members of the family, especially that young son that is a little bit recalcitrant right now. She's been anxious about the physical exam, a little bit worried about the physical exam that she's going to have to take and what the doctors might find. So out goes the energy through her feelings, and it finds a perfect match that is vibrating on that particular frequency. And it can be anything that is on that level 3. And in comes the car wreck, because here's this man that's vibrating at the level 3, and they just kind of create with one another. And then here is a person who's out robbing her house because he's vibrating at level 3. He's into lack consciousness. He's worried about how he's going to have money to do anything, so he decides he's going to steal it. And so he's just being attracted to her home, and then, she gets laid off at work because they're downsizing. This is just one of the things, because it's all a part of that attraction. So what I'm telling you, friends, is through negative feelings, we attract negative things, negative experiences and negative situations, and then we wonder, well, why does this all happen? But the good news, and we're here to talk about the good news, and the good news is that when we're feeling good, when we're vibrating at a 6 or a 7 or all the way up to 10, and we're laughing and we're happy and we're relaxed, and we're projecting all of that positive energy, then good begins to flow into our lives. Goodness, and you don't even know to ask for it. It just happens. We're at the right place at the right time. Things just work out. My goodness, the right ideal career will open up for us. Harmonious relationships are always established, and we get along with everybody. We have these happy serendipitous experiences. Whatever it is on that frequency that matches that positive energy projection just comes into our lives. So can we not see why it's very important to feel good all the time? It's important to feel good. Because when we're feeling good, good things happen to us. We're attracting good things into our lives. That's why I feel so good about being here. And when we feel really good, we cancel out all of those bad negative energies that we've been sending out. When we catch ourselves feeling negative energy, we get down in the dumps, or we get upset, or we're concerned about, anything, we need to immediately move our minds and our feelings towards positive energy projections, which means that we have to do a little work. Like in the morning when we wake up, we say, okay, I'm going to determine right now what it is I'm going to think about today, or what I'm going to really feel today. If I get caught up in negative energy, I want to move my mind immediately out of that. And I got about 16 seconds to do that, because within 16 seconds, if I keep it going, I'm going to set it in motion. So I want to move my mind over into a place that is full of loving, positive energy. And what we have to do is decide where we're going to move it before the day starts, so that when these things come up, we can do that. Now, let me tell you what happens. Because we think of negative things a lot. My goodness, all you have to do is turn on television and watch the news, and you're into negative energy projection, right? So I determined the first part of this week that anytime I had a negative thought, I was immediately going to be thinking about coming up here to Detroit and being a part of this energy today. And I did, and I'm not preaching I'm going to be with Elmer, I'm going to be with all of you people today, and it's going to be exciting. Well, I feel good. And I've been feeling that way all week. But you can use anything. Smiling helps. Just tell your mind, I'm going to move, I'm going to start laughing, and think of a joke or think of anything that brought pleasure and made you feel good, and start projecting that. The thing about these negative vibrations, these negative vibrational feelings, they're in cities. They start small. Next thing you know, we're consumed by it. Kind of like the story of the man that was out in the desert. Lived in the desert. Grew up in the desert. Never been into civilization. And one day he started walking, and he walked out of the desert, and he came across a railroad track. And started following the rails. Didn't know anything about it. Just was a thing to do. But all of a sudden he heard the whistle of a train. Never heard that before. Never knew what a train was. Didn't even bother to turn around and look. But every once in a while he'd hear that whistle and get louder and louder. And all of a sudden the train hits him. Didn't kill him, but it knocked him over about 40 or 50 feet. Bruised him up pretty good. So when he got up, brushed himself off, saw the train going on down the track, well, he continued to walk down the rails, and he came to a community. And there were some people that saw that this person probably needed some food, so they took him into their home. They befriended him, sat him down at the table. The wife started fixing a meal. She put a tea kettle on the stove. And after a while, the tea kettle began to whistle. And the man jumped up, looked at that teapot, and looked around, found a door, opened up the door. There was a baseball bat. He picked up the baseball bat, and he went after that teapot and started beating the teapot up. And he got down on the floor, and he dented it real bad. The husband said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Man, you got to kill those suckers before they grow up." Got a nip it in the bud, folks. Those negative thoughts come in. They're little tiny things. Grab them right then. Say, no. I'm going to do that. I've let go of that. Well, and then move into positive energy. Well, that's why we're here today. We're into a place of real positive energy. I hope everybody feels as good as I do today. And if you don't, let me just project that to you. Is that okay? We want to bless this building. We want to bless and consecrate and dedicate this church. In 127th Psalm it says, "Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain to build it." Except spiritual principle build this house. Except people practicing spiritual principle are here. We're not practicing spiritual principle in this house, we're not making it. You know that. But we come here because we come here to learn, and we come here to internalize these spiritual principles. So I'm going to suggest that you help me with this dedication service today, and I'm going to ask for some response from you. And when I say together, then everybody just repeat the same line that I have done. And so we'll start with, "There's only one presence in this building." Together. There's only one presence in this building. I feel good. I kind of surprised you with that. We might want to do that with a little bit more enthusiasm. There's only one presence in this building. Together. There's only one presence in this building. And this one presence is the presence of God. The presence of God. Well, that's okay. When I say together, then we do. But because this presence is the presence of God, that means that no evil can enter here. Because there's no evil in God. God the good dwells here. So whoever enters here will be conscious of the one divine presence of good. There's only one presence here. Together. There's only one presence here. This presence is the presence of life. There's no death here, nor fear of death. There is only life here. All fear is cast out. Whoever enters here will be conscious of this life, the pure, holy life of God. There's only one presence here. Together. There is only one presence here. Now this presence is the presence of truth. No untrue thing weakness and sickness are cast out. Whoever enters here will be conscious of the presence of health. There's only one presence here together. There's only one presence here. Presence of purity. No impure thought can enter here. We live and dwell in the pure and holy presence of God. So whoever enters here will be conscious of the pure and holy presence of God. This building is filled with peace and harmony together. This building is filled with peace and harmony. We dwell in the presence of peace. No restless or discordant thought can enter here. No irritation or fear can enter here. The presence of God is peace. Whoever enters here will be conscious of the presence of peace. This building is filled with prosperity. Together. This building is filled with prosperity. We cannot lack for any good thing. There's no dissatisfaction here. Whoever enters here will be conscious of contentment, satisfaction, and prosperity. There's only one presence here. Together. There's only one presence here. And this is the presence of beauty. This building is filled with beauty. In God is all spiritual beauty. And this building is glorified by God's holy presence. So whoever enters here will be conscious of the beauty of holiness. There's only one presence here. There's only one presence here. That's the presence of wisdom. All foolishness, ignorance, doubt, superstition are cast out. God is here. And God is wisdom. And we live and move in the presence of wisdom. And whoever enters here will be conscious of wisdom. There's only one presence here. Together. There's only one presence here. It's the presence of joy. Joy radiates here, filling this building. No sorrow can enter here. All depression is cast out. The joy of the Lord is here. We are surrounded by joy. We are filled with joy and happiness. Whoever enters here will be conscious of the presence of joy. This building is filled with the presence of love. Together. This building is filled with the presence of love. So only love dwells here. God is love and love is here. And all anger and hatred and revenge cast out. Love fills these walls. And every molecule that is in every bit of the fiber that makes up this building is filled with love. And that's why it's so wonderful when you can walk into a place like this and it feels good. And your positive energy vibrations are in this room right now. And they will continue to be here. So when people come into this place, they will feel refreshed for just walking in. And it doesn't have to be during a service. They can just walk in to fix something. And they feel so good about being in this place. Why? Because love is here. And we live and we move and we have our being in God. And whoever enters here will be conscious of pure, holy presence of love. And to keep this going, we all have a responsibility. This church must be a place where people are free to grow along spiritual lives. That's the purpose for a church like this. Where people are free to come, no matter who they are free to come. No matter what their belief system has been, no matter what their belief system is now, no matter what their sexual orientation or their cultural differences are, or the color of their skin, or whatever, they have to be free to come here to grow along spiritual lives. That means that a climate must exist that allows everyone to feel welcome. So we have to be free of any cliques or self-serving groups because they keep others out. It becomes exclusive. Church growth has to do with quality rather than quantity, but if the quality is there, then the quantity happens. Consciousness, though, has to grow before the church grows according to consciousness. Now, I mention this because there are some people that don't want the church to grow. I'm not talking about this necessarily, but there are a lot of churches where people will get in and they say, well, especially if the church starts out small, we have such a nice family little group here. Let's don't get too big or we will lose that. And I say that's very selfish. It's very selfish because it's like saying, well, I've got mine. I don't want church can grow to be several thousand people, and you never lose the closeness, the close-knitness, whatever, of being with each other. What stifles church growth, though, is friction within the church. I'm just going to bring these out because we're in the process of establishing something that is remarkably wonderful for this area. But when people are at odds with one another, or they're clashing of wills between members of the board and other members of the board, or the clashing of wills between the members of the board and the ministry, that can really stifle church's growth. You might as well put a neon sign out in front and say, hey, don't come here because we're having a lot of problems. Because people are sensitive and they walk in and say, and when everybody's in harmony, being elected to the board and trustees of the church is really like a divine appointment, especially a community church. It's not an ego thing, because people are not elected to the board in the same way that you're elected to a school board to represent a particular part of the community. Nobody is elected to the board to represent a particular group of church members. No, it's all by divine appointment. Board members are not selected to run the church. It's up to the minister and the staff to run the church. No, the board and the minister work together to determine where the money is to be wisely spent and to establish policies to make it possible for people to come here and grow spiritually. That's it. The board is to help the minister establish policy and determine where the money is going to go. I remember Jack Bowman one time said, you know, Jack, nobody was ever attracted to any church because they had a good board. Can you imagine waking up one Sunday morning saying, well, let's go down to the Presbyterian church. Well, why? Do you like the ministry? No, they got a good board there. But the board is important because they work together with the ministry to bring about this spiritual climate. People come here for the spiritual upliftment of the message and the spiritual camaraderie that they receive. Now, you, as a congregation, have to establish that energy. And you do it by ministry. I know that Elmer, the minister here, will delightfully allow everybody in here to share the ministry of this church, to reach out to other people and to support other people and to send cards to the people that need them and to be a part of that energy. He's not willing to share the administration of this church, but certainly the ministry of this church, because he is the administrator. The buck stops with Elmer. Ministers are important to a church's growth. And it's very important that you support the minister, be proud of the minister, to nurture him and see that he gets the rest that he really deserves and requires, and support him in helping him fulfill his mission. Ministers burn out not because of work. I don't like doing work. Ministers burn out because of resistance to their preaching. And I like to think of a church like a symphony orchestra. And in a symphony orchestra, you have all these musicians playing different musical instruments. And you have a conductor. And everybody in the orchestra is so important. Even the guy playing the triangle is very important, at that particular moment in the orchestra, or in the number. Because if he doesn't do his job, then there's something that's out. And a church is like this beautiful symphony orchestra that's making harmony. And the minister is like the conductor, and the board president is like the first violinist. And then everybody plays a part. All the volunteers and all the people that are in congregants, they come and they all have a part to play. But let me say something to this. Now, if for the oboist is not doing a very good job, the conductor may stop and say, let's go over those measures again. But the conductor doesn't go down and sit down and play his part. By the same token, if there's a person who is playing the French horn and doesn't like the way the conductor is conducting it, he doesn't set his French horn down and get up there on the pedestal and say, get out of the way, I'm going to conduct this orchestra. Everybody has their part to play. And when everybody is playing their part, it's just beautiful harmony. It's like a symphony. You have a minister you can really be proud of. You are so fortunate to have Elmer as your minister. And I know all of you working together in the spirit of love and harmony can be a very bright light in this part of the world. This could be the prototype church. Anybody wants to know what a really fully functional unity church is like? Come and see Unity Church. Unity East Church. They're the great example. So I'm going to ask those of you, the members of the congregation that entrusted you to work together with your ministry,
Both ways is great.
Unity East Church is a top priority in your life. Another reason is that you're a team worker. Another reason is you're demonstrating truth in your life. And another reason is that you're supporting this church with your time, and your financial substance. So I can congratulate you on your willingness to participate in this divine assignment as you work with Elmer in developing this ministry and this spiritual community. So I ask you to take a pledge. Would you kindly put your hand over your heart? And do you affirm that you will support Elmer with your prayers, with your encouragement, with your fellowship, with your honesty, and by your loving response to his words and actions? If so, would you enthusiastically affirm, I will?
I will.
And do you also affirm that you will work together with Elmer in building a harmonious leadership team? If so, enthusiastically affirm, I will.
I will.
Okay, good. Take your hand off of your heart. I'm going to ask Elmer and Annie to come up and be with us up here. And I asked Annie to come up and be with Elmer because I know that every successful man has a very successful woman behind. And Annie has been the wind beneath Elmer's wing for a long time. So, I'm here. Put it this way. You guys are standing here, and I wrote this all out so that I wouldn't forget it. But Elmer, would you place your hand over your heart? And will you, as minister and partner in this spiritual community, support the Board of Trustees with your prayers, with your encouragement, with your fellowship, your honesty, and your loving response to their words and their actions? If so, enthusiastically say aye.
I surely do.
Okay. And do you commit to work with the Board of Trustees in building a leadership team in the spirit of love, harmony, and cooperation? If so, reply to say, I will.
I will.
Okay. Now, would you kindly place your hands back over your heart as again? Okay. And so, Elmer, as the minister of this church and board members, as the leadership for this spiritual community, will you affirm your commitment to this ministry's ongoing unfoldment, to be of service to its members, and to participate in making Unity East a beacon of spiritual light to the entire community? If so, reply by saying, I will.
I will.
Unity East metaphysically means oneness with Him. Isn't that the light? Just thought of that. So on behalf of myself as a member of the Association of Unity Churches, on behalf of all of the churches in the association, on behalf of Elmer, the minister here, and the membership, and the members of the Board of Trustees of Unity East Church, it gives me great privilege to dedicate Unity East Church and its ministry to the glory of God on earth. And I charge all persons here today with the responsibility of serving this church with love, faith, joy, and living the life that sets the highest example for not only this ministry, but all the ministries in the Unity movement. This feels good. That's it.
Someday someone's going to call me and say, would you come and dedicate my church? I got to call Jack and get his notes. This is our opportunity. Pardon me? Mike is not up. Mike's not up. This is our opportunity to demonstrate our faith, to demonstrate our love for this church, the magnificence of the new dimension which we have risen to, the ability and the wonder and the joy of feeling good for being a part of something so great. As our ushers come forward, we surely want to honor this ability, this willingness, to the demonstration of giving of our substance. And doing doing that with a sense of feeling good that exceeds anything we've ever known before, especially on this day. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Let's say that together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So it is.
Trees of green.
like so far?